Hello, this is chapter 5 of Wolf Brother. At the moment, Torak is alone in the forest and he has a fever which he is recovering from. It was nearly dark when Torak woke up. He'd slept all day. He felt weak and ragingly thirsty, but his wound was cooler and much less sore. The fever was gone. So was the cub. Torak was surprised to find himself wondering if it was all right. Why should he care? The cub was nothing to him. He stumbled to the river and drank, then woke the slumbering fire with more wood. The effort left him trembling. He rested and ate the last pig nut and some sorrel leaves he'd found by the river bank. They were tough and very sour, but strengthening. Still, the cub didn't come. He thought about trying to summon it with a howl, but if it came, it would only ask for food. Besides, howling might attract the bear. So instead he pulled on his boots and went to check the traps. The fish hooks were empty except for one, which held the bones of a small fish neatly nibbled clean. He was lucky with the snares. One held a wood grouse struggling feebly. Meat. Muttering a quick thank you to the bird's spirit, Torak snapped its neck, slit its belly, and gulped the warm liver down raw. It tasted bitter and slimy, but he was too famished to care. Feeling slightly steadier, he tied the bird to his belt and went to check the deadfall. To his relief, it contained no dead cub. The cub was sitting by its mother, prodding her stinking carcass with one paw. At Torak's approach, it started towards him, then looked back at the she-wolf, yipping indignantly. It wanted Torak to sort things out. Torak sighed. How could he explain about death when he didn't understand it himself? "Come on," he said, not bothering to speak wolf. The cub's large ears swiveled to catch the sound. "There's nothing here," Torak said impatiently. "Let's go." Back to the shelter, he plucked and spitted the wood grouse and set it to roast over the fire. The cub lunged for it. Torak grabbed the cub's muzzle and slammed it to the ground. "No," he growled, "it's mine." The cub lay obediently still, thumping its tail. When Torak released its muzzle, it rolled onto its back, baring its pale, fluffy belly, and gave him a silent grin of apology. Then it scampered off to a safe distance, head politely lowered. Torak nodded, satisfied. The cub had to learn that he was the lead wolf, or there'd be endless trouble in the future. What future? He thought with a scowl. His future didn't include the cub. The smell of the roast meat drove all other thoughts away. Fat sizzled on the fire. His mouth watered. Quickly, he twisted one leg off the wood grouse and tucked it into the fork of a birch tree as an offering for his clan guardian. Then he settled down to eat. It was the best thing he'd ever tasted. He sucked every shred of meat and fat off the bones and crunched up every morsel of crisp, salty skin. He forced himself to ignore the great amber eyes that watched every bite. When he'd finished, he wiped his mouth on the back of his hand. The cub followed every move. Torak blew out a long breath. "Oh, all right," he muttered. He tore the remaining foot off the carcass and tossed it over. The cub crunched it up in moments. Then it looked at Torak hopefully. "I haven't got any more," he told it. The cub yipped impatiently and glanced at the carcass in his hands. He'd picked the bones clean, but they'd still make needles, fish hooks and broth, although without a cooking skin he couldn't make any broth. Sensing that he might be storing up trouble for himself, he tossed half the carcass to the cub. The cub demolished it in its powerful jaws, then curled up and went instantly to sleep, a gently heaving ball of hot grey fur. That's the end of Chapter 5, Part 1. Part 2 coming up soon.